Hey guys, what's up? Jeff here. I just kind of wanted to make a video about this guitar. Now, it is the holiday season, Christmas just came and went, but I decided to go buy myself a Bullet Telecaster, Squire obviously, from Guitar Center in their used section a couple days ago. And I just kind of wanted to document what it's like buying a budget guitar, maybe for newer guitarists or beginners out there who just got a new guitar. They're looking to make this guitar sound like this. Now here's the thing, I personally have never owned a tele in my life. This is the first tele that I've ever owned. I played a few of them. There's a really nice custom shop at the Guitar Center location that I teach lessons at. That one I pull off the wall every so often, and that is a fantastic guitar. I never saw myself owning one of these though, that's the thing. Until I realized I don't have anything like this guitar in my collection. I have two Mark Holcomb signatures. I have a Sterling Music Man Cutlass CT50. And then I have a Jackson 7-string, the JS227. And so this thing really filled kind of a big gap that I have in my collection. I will say though, I am keeping this guitar in drop C sharp. That is kind of what I wanted it for. I've always wanted a drop C sharp guitar. The strings that I have on my Holcomb 6 are very specifically for drop C. If I tune them up to drop C sharp, it is just too tight. It's just like the string tension is crazy. So leaving that guitar in drop C, this is my new C sharp guitar. When you first buy a guitar like this, a few things you want to look out for. For me personally, the fret ends are a big thing. If I'm using a budget guitar and the fret ends are really sharp and poking out, I am so less likely to pick up that guitar again because I just hate that feeling. It scratches up your hands, it hurts, you could probably cut yourself on accident with that. So I just want to say, if you're looking for a guitar, just take your fingers and run them over the frets. If they're too sharp and if you're like, ooh, that would probably get in the way of playing, I would recommend against that guitar. Now, if you wanted to file the frets, the fret ends, that is an easy thing to do, but in my opinion, like, you know, there are so many guitars out there, I'm sure you could find one, if not the exact same model, but a different guitar that does not have that problem. Another thing that I want to say, first thing you should do, especially when buying a used guitar, change the strings, dude. You don't want to be playing on old rusty strings that probably have bacteria on them from other people that have tried the guitar. Like, first thing I did, I bought strings with this guitar. I have a 10 to 52 set from Ernie Ball on here for drop C sharp. So yeah, that gives me decent string tension across, I will say, the A string, which is technically now G sharp because I have it in drop C sharp. It is a little tight, and you can definitely tell when you're playing it. At least I can, because I use the string a lot. So it definitely feels a little tighter than all the other strings, and that's something maybe I'll look into, just finding a different set with a lighter A string. First things first, like I said, strings, and then also I always check the neck relief on guitars. If the neck is too bowed, the action is probably going to be really, really high, and you're going to get buzzing if you lower it down. First thing I look at, I pick up a guitar, and I hold it straight out in front of me, like this, and I look down the neck to see if the neck relief is set properly. If it's not, it's easily adjustable via the truss rod up here. So that's what I do. I adjust it so that there's a teeny bit of bow, but it's almost not noticeable. Next thing, setting the action. Now, since this is a Bullet Telecaster, it has this, I don't even know what you would call this type of bridge, but there are 6 individual saddles, almost like a Strat. The fact that this guitar has a bridge like this makes it a little more attractive to me. And tele guys, don't come after me, please. I know that vintage teles and more classic style teles have the 3 saddles instead of all 6. And obviously, if that's your thing, then go for a guitar with that style bridge. But for me, I'm a modern metal player. I really want this adjustability. I adjusted the truss rod, I put new strings on, and then I went to set the action. And when I set action, I make little micro adjustments, and then I straight up go like this all up the fretboard. And to see if there's any buzz. And the thing is, I'm okay with a little bit of buzz, but if it's fretting out or if the note is dying sooner because of it, I think the string is a little too close to the fretboard. So I dialed in every single string, and then I plugged my guitar into my tuner, and then I adjusted for intonation, which is these back screws on the bottom of the tailpiece. I'm not going to explain how to do intonation. There are tons of videos online about how to do that. This video is more of like an overview of what the process is like of buying one of these guitars and what to expect of it. Another thing I was pretty impressed with this guitar is the neck. It's not super chunky. It's pretty thin, and I think that it's more so that way because since these are bullet Telecasters, companies know that their lower range guitars are probably going to get picked up by people who are more beginners at guitar, and maybe a chunky neck is something that they're not looking for. If you have this chunky neck that is not comfortable to you, then you're less likely to pick up the guitar, you're going to be less inspired to play. And so for that reason, I think the neck is a little thin for a Telecaster. I actually kind of like it because it's more similar to the necks that I play on personally. If I had to give any guitar a perfect neck shape, like 10 out of 10 what I'm looking for, it's the Ibanez AZ series. Those guitars are phenomenal. I've played so many of them. I don't own one, but those necks are something else. They feel great in the hand. I'm also not really going to get in the specs of this guitar because it is a budget model and you can look that up kind of anywhere, but I know that the electronics in here are probably terrible. That is kind of where most companies who are selling these budget guitars skip out on the most when it comes to costs. Electronics, you can find really cheap electronics kind of anywhere. So all this stuff in here will probably be replaced sometime soon. Probably looking at a set of bare knuckle pile drivers for the pickups because I've watched so many demo videos of those and I love the sound. Better pots, better pickup selector, and probably while I'm in there, a better output jack as well. Not that there's like anything wrong with this one, but you know, it's nice to know that you have that extra layer of safety when it comes to the electronics in your guitar. If you're looking to upgrade guitars like this, I would recommend replacing the bridge. I'm already looking at a Goto modern tele bridge. Basically the exact same thing here, but made with better materials. It's probably going to intonate better, and it's probably going to stay in tune better. Same thing with tuners. I'm probably just going to pick up a set of standard Fender locking tuners for this guitar, just because, I don't know, it's a Fender style guitar, why not have Fender style components on there? So making a guitar like this sound how you want it is a different battle. So we already did our setup here, and I just kind of wanted to go over how I started making tones for this thing. I personally am using Archetype Nolly X for all of the tones that you heard in the demo track, and right now, I only made tones in the Archetype Nolly preset. I didn't use any other NeuralDSP plugins, and I haven't really messed around with it, although I should. But for now, I'm just going to demo these tones that I created on the Archetype Nolly X plugin. So first thing I do when I get a new guitar is I make a clean tone. It's very cut and dry. You know, you want to have a good clean tone that sounds great with any guitar. But I like having specific individual tones for every single guitar because when I'm recording, I want a specific sound from each guitar. Each of my guitars sounds different than the other ones. They also feel different, and I have them all in different tunings. So sometimes using the exact same clean tone isn't the best idea. Especially with a guitar such as this, where I know the pickups are probably trash, and they kind of are. As you can see here, in this tone, I have bumped the input gain up by 3 dB. I did this in almost all of the tones that I created for this guitar because I realized that these pickups are very low output. I also noticed that there's hardly any treble coming through these pickups, so I raised the pickups decently close on the treble side, and then I lowered them on the bass side just so I could see if I could get a little more clarity out of them. It's not that they're muddy, but at the same time, I'm looking for a little bit of brightness, and they just weren't delivering. As you can see here, I have the treble pretty cranked on the actual amp head itself. And then when it comes to this, I have these mics put pretty close to the middle of the speaker, try to get a little more clarity out of it. And then yeah, these are my EQ settings for this tone. I'm running through the compressor and nothing else, and then I have a nice big reverb on here. So this is what this clean tone sounds like. Yeah, this is, by the way, middle position for the pickup selector, so that's both pickups active right now. Switch to the neck. bridge. So yeah, nice clean tone, nothing too crazy, nothing too special going on with it, but a great bass line. Next thing that I do when I get a new guitar is I make a rhythm tone. So this one's called Tele Flavored Gent. As I mentioned before, I was having trouble getting clarity and treble out of these pickups, so I did a lot of compensating here in the tones. As you can see, the treble is cranked, presence is up there, and the EQ looks crazy. I bumped up 4.5K pretty decently to try to get more of that in-your-face kind of presence, as well as I bumped the high end a decent amount, as well as 1.5K. So I'm running through the compressor and then the orange overdrive with a ton of treble and a lot of bass bleed off. Like I said, this 57 here is pretty close to the center of the speaker, but yeah, those were my settings for this, and I do have it running through verb, although if I'm tracking a rhythm part, I'm not going to have verb on here. This is just kind of for flavor. So yeah. So yeah, that's that preset. It's meant for bridge pickup only, obviously, but it's a pretty fat, chunky sound for these pickups. I'm pretty impressed with the sound I was able to get out of this tone, and I'm kind of loving it so far. The only thing I will say is guitars like this require a little more time and effort when dialing in tones, just because these electronics in here are not really that high end. So the quality that goes into here is basically nothing. So you have to do a lot of compensating inside of your plugin or on your pedal board or in your amp or whatever you're sending this signal through. For me, it's the plugin. So I had to do a lot of compensation here, and then mixing is a whole different story. After I made that preset, I also always make a mid-gain preset. So here's the mid-gain preset for this guitar. It's called mid-gain split tele. This is meant to be in the middle position with both pickups active again. And I love this type of sound because it is so inspiring when you're just jamming by yourself in a room. I have a big reverb on here. So yeah, a lot of reverb coming through this tone. And also the EQ looks a little crazy because I wanted that spark and clarity. Same thing, these are pretty close to the actual speaker. I'm running through the compressor and the green overdrive, tone cranked, level pretty up there, and then the high pass filter, which I think that is on. So yeah, this is what this tone sounds like. So yeah, that's what that tone sounds like. Like I said, I have tones like this for almost all of my guitars just because I love this type of tone itself. Now, one thing I was slightly disappointed with in this guitar is it's missing a little bit of that tele twang that I was kind of expecting to come from this guitar. I can't be too mad though. It was $155 and I know that these pickups are not up to snuff. So, what this tone was my attempt to try to get that tone out of the guitar by using the stuff in this plugin. Couldn't quite get there. This is meant for kind of bridge only, but the neck pickup surprisingly sounds really nice with this tone. It's kind of in between a clean tone and the mid gain. It's a little past edge of breakup. Most of the notes have some dirt on them, even if you're playing softly. But this was kind of my attempt to try to get some of that twang, and I'm not quite sure I was able to do it, but here's what this sounds like. So yeah, there's a little bit there, but it's not quite what I was looking for. The neck pickup, though, if I switch to that, sounds great. Yeah, this is kind of like a... You guys know That's What You Get by Paramore. That's what kind of this tone reminds me of. So I might make a cover of that using this tone. Anyways, that about wraps up kind of my demo and my explanation of this guitar. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to document my experience on what it's like buying a guitar like this when I own guitars like I have in my collection, and what to expect kind of when you're looking for a guitar like this. If you're a beginner, if you're just starting out, or if you're someone who's played guitar a long time, you know your way around the fretboard and you're just looking for something to beat on. Guitars like this are no joke, right? They kind of rip. So I'm very impressed with how this thing plays and feels. And I'm even more impressed by how it sounds. Although there are a few gripes that I have with the guitar, I can't really be mad. $155, it's dinged up, it's scratched up, but this is a perfectly functioning, well-playing guitar, and that's kind of all I want for $155. So, anyways, that wraps up this video. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.